If you search about success, you'll always find the same phrases. Work hard, be resilient, study a lot, specialize, you need luck. But what if this is all just manipulation? What if the story they told you about success is just an illusion created to keep you chasing after trivial things? After analyzing the trajectory of some of the most powerful and successful figures in history, I noticed elements in common among them that go far beyond those cliches we hear out there. Secrets that almost no one realizes are behind successful people.
I wish people could achieve all their dreams, reach wealth and fame, so they could see that it's not there. They'll find their sense of fulfillment.
In this video, when I mention successful figures, I don't just mean anyone with money or fame. I'm going to focus on creators, those who have significantly impacted the world, those who have the power to tear down old systems and build something new in their place. And it's very likely that you don't like or even hate some of them. But this conversation isn't about liking or disliking. The point is, why do these figures stand out so much from the majority?
A person is successful if they know where they are, know where they're going, and are progressively moving in that direction.
Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal.
Success is when your children want to be with you when they're adults. That's success.
Success is discovering the purpose for which you were created and developing yourself for that purpose.
Work and relationships with meaning, and then progressing, contributing to evolution, and then progressing, contributing to evolution. If I can do that, I am a happy person with a successful life.
And here we could spend hours debating the true meaning of success. But to simplify, let's establish that success is something that stands out, that breaks away from the ordinary. And if that's the rule, then most people will never be successful. And that's not a personal opinion, it's logic. If everyone were successful, it wouldn't be called success anymore. It only exists because few people get there. Now, what sets apart these few, this minority who achieve success from the many who don't stand out? The other day, I was reading a post by Naval Ravikant, a modern entrepreneur and philosopher who has followed the journey of several successful people. And in that post, he said that it's hard to predict which businesses will succeed, but it's easy to notice which people are going to win. And what he meant is that a person can fail several times. Start businesses, fail, try again. But what defines success is not merely in what these people do, but in who they are. Seeing this immediately reminded me of an old story. A master and his apprentice were talking about the future and goals. Then the master asked the apprentice to write down his goals, but the young man froze, afraid of disappointing him. So the master suggested, "Why don't you set your goal to become a millionaire?" The apprentice found it odd, since his master always said success is more than money. So he asked, "But master, you always said that money isn't the most important thing." And the master smiled and replied, "It's not about the money, but about the person you will have to become to get there." In the end, what the master was trying to say is that the greatest value in life isn't in what you earn, but in what you become. And the truth is that most people never come to understand this, because most people will only look at and judge you by what you have. If you don't have money, a degree, influence, or recognition, the world will reject you, and you'll start to doubt yourself. And this is where many people break. I've seen so many people give up on their dreams because the risk of losing was too much to bear. If you can't handle rejection, it could be a sign that you're either in the wrong place or simply that you don't have what it takes. It's normal to start in the wrong place. Most people don't find what they love immediately. After all, nature creates absolutely unique individuals, but culture pushes everyone into the same mold. That's why those who stand out begin by challenging traditional thinking. Their mindset isn't focused exclusively on the result. They know, like few others, why they do what they do. To illustrate what I'm saying, I'll use 3 examples of 3 minds that are far above average, but don't be fooled by that. The secret here isn't just intelligence. If it were, there wouldn't be so many frustrated geniuses out there. The point is how these people manage to connect deeply with their goals, to the extent that nothing can stop them.
I was lucky. I found what I loved to do early in life. When I was 20 years old, I was rejected, but I stayed passionate, and then I decided to start over. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me trying was the love for what I did. You have to find what you love, and that's as true for your work as it is for your relationships.
Steve Jobs, for instance, didn't begin by planning Apple. He initially searched for something new. In his youth, he moved to India and spent months in spiritual communities. He wasn't interested in money or business, but in understanding the mind, life, and existence. When he returned, he brought something almost no one in Silicon Valley had, a vision that went beyond business and technology. Jobs saw technology as an extension of humanity, not as an end in itself, and that shaped everything he created. There, he lived simply, learned from the wisdom of rural, everyday life, and absorbed two fundamental principles: intuition and simplicity. And it was exactly these principles that later became the backbone of Apple. Many could see him as a madman, obsessive, relentless, someone who worked beyond the limit and demanded the impossible. But maybe for him, work didn't mean the same thing it does for most people. When someone finds something that makes sense on a deeper level, what seems like sacrifice to others was simply inevitable for him.
We must risk it all. Artists, Zillman, Picasso, Newton, they risk failure. And if we want to be great, we have to take risks too.
If we also look at Elon Musk, he had an existential crisis at 14. Musk would lock himself in his room, devouring books on philosophy and science. And what did he want to know? What is the meaning of life? After reading everything he could find, he reached a conclusion that defined his path. The meaning of life is to expand the limits of human existence.
When I was a child, I used to ask myself what the meaning of life was, why we were here, what was the purpose of all this. I came to the conclusion that what really matters is trying to understand what the right questions to ask are. And the more we can expand the reach and scale of human consciousness, the better we'll be able to formulate those questions.
It wasn't just about making money or creating companies. Musk wanted to push humanity forward, and proof of that is the way he acted throughout his journey. What would most people do if, at 30 years old, they sold a company for $180 million? I don't know your specific answer, but I can guarantee that almost no one would take absolutely all that money to invest in companies that made sense for their life mission. These were projects in space exploration, sustainable energy, and artificial intelligence. The result? He was on the verge of bankruptcy, without even enough money to pay the rent. He also failed 3 times in a row with his rocket launches. Tesla faced production problems and almost went bankrupt. In 2008, Elon Musk was at the lowest point of his life. His rocket company had money for just one more launch before shutting down. It was all or nothing. Tesla was going bankrupt right before his eyes. He was also going through a messy divorce, and his public image was being ridiculed by the media.
When you had the 3rd consecutive failure, did you think you should give up?
Never. I never give up. I have to be dead or completely incapacitated.
The vast majority of people would have given up, but not Musk, because he was being guided by something greater, not by the desire for security. He does this not because he's obsessed with money, but because he found a purpose that completely consumes him. For him, not following this path would be the real madness.
If you didn't expect the company to succeed, why try? If something matters, try, even if you might fail.
Now, let's analyze this interview with one of the greatest film directors of all time.
You didn't go to film school?
No, I wasn't accepted.
You weren't accepted? They looked at your early work and said, no, this guy has no future. It's better to stop here.
Think for a second. What would most people do in a situation like that? You try to start a career and get rejected. The very industry you want so much tells you that you're not cut out for it. Many would give up right there, accept the verdict, and move on to something else. But why didn't Nolan give up? Because he had something deeper within him than just a desire for fame, money, or validation. He knew that's what he wanted, regardless of anyone's approval. That's the key difference between following a path because you were told to and choosing it because you can't see yourself doing anything else. Today, Nolan is considered one of the greatest directors of all time, but it wasn't because someone gave him permission for that. It was because even when rejected, he somehow felt and knew who he was.
When you're starting out especially, you need to explore your strengths, do something that really excites you and everything that's different about it. Those are the things that are your strengths in the project. Those are the things you can bring, whether in your life or in cinema, that no one else can. Maybe not everyone else does that, maybe not everyone else can do that or is considered capable of doing that. That's what will set you apart. So for me, I think the answer was definitely to try to explore my strengths and the things I was personally passionate about.
And I'm not here to idolize these guys. You can curse, hate, you can say they're manipulative, exploitative, arrogant, but one thing no one can deny: they're unique minds who created things that change people's lives. Whether for better or worse, the impact is undeniable. And the secret of these guys is that they're not competing for superficial desires, like most people. Their pursuit goes beyond material success. It's an almost instinctive need to express something greater than themselves, to bring something new into the world, something that didn't exist until they came along.
Death is most likely life's best invention. It gets rid of the old to make way for the new. Right now, you are the new. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And more importantly, have the courage to follow your heart and your intuition. Somehow, they already know what you truly want to become.
And when that happens, all those cliches we hear out there, work hard, be resilient, they stop being an obligation. They're no longer a price to pay, a condition to achieve something. They become a natural consequence for those who are already immersed in what makes sense to them. And maybe that's the big secret that sets them apart from the majority. The love for what they do is not just fuel, it is the path itself. It's what keeps them from being guided only by fleeting emotions, by social pressure, by the irrational pursuit of security. While most people follow the already paved path, seeking certainty and avoiding risks, they feel comfortable in uncertainty, in the unknown, in risk, because that's where they find real meaning in what they do. And to be honest, it's clear that not everyone can or will find this during their lives. And this becomes quite evident when we look at the way people lead their lives. I call that the conflict between active and passive personalities. Anyone who saw episode 7 of my series knows what I mean. Most people have a predominantly passive personality. That doesn't mean they're weak or lazy, but simply that they don't take ownership of their own existence. The passive person doesn't create, doesn't take risks, doesn't break away from the reality that was presented to them. He adapts and goes with what's already established. And many times, his way of asserting himself is precisely by denying others, criticizing those who dare to step out of line. The active one questions what exists and creates something new. But here's the key point. Although most people are passive, I truly believe that we all have the potential to manifest our active side. The question is, how much do you allow that side of yourself to manifest? And it doesn't matter what field you work in. You don't need to work with cutting-edge technology or be an artist. Whatever your field or your interest, there's always room to create, to innovate, to do something different, and follow your intuition. Whether as an engineer, a cook, a father, a son, or in any role in your life, there's always room to be active. But this process is only done efficiently when there's a real connection with what you do. Before trying to conquer the world, you must first master and understand yourself. Before wanting to shape reality, you need to get in tune with it.
From what I understand, it's simply about letting the universe know what you want and working to achieve that goal without worrying about the process. Your job isn't to figure out how it's going to happen for you, but to open the door in your mind. And when the door opens in real life, just walk through it.
And when we talk about tuning into the universe, it might sound too romantic, too mystical, too far from reality, but stop and think. How many times have you believed that your life would completely change when you got that promotion, that raise, that relationship? And when you finally got there, it wasn't quite like that. Maybe today, you're in the position or earning the salary you wanted 5 years ago, and yet maybe you feel more lost or unhappier than you did back then. And that's when these superficial desires reveal themselves for what they really are. Empty?
I've always said that I wish people could achieve all their dreams, attain wealth and fame, so they could see this. That's not where you'll find your sense of fulfillment.
I noticed how much money she had and thought having enough would solve my problems, but I learned that wasn't true.
Work will occupy much of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work, and the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking and don't settle.
I'm not here to tell you what to do or how to do it. Go after what brings out your active side, what you truly believe will change your life. Do you think it's money? Great, go after that. Do you think it's status, recognition? Great, go after that. Often, you don't know what you want until you get what you thought you wanted. And who knows, maybe all of this is part of the process. Maybe you need to chase after what everyone else wants, just to finally realize that what everyone wants isn't always worth it. You might fall into the trap of waiting for the right moment to start living, only to realize it never comes. But never let yourself be carried away by the belief that your mistake lies in ambition, in the desire to want more. The mistake is believing change starts externally, and that achieving something outside will fix everything inside. It's not about having, it's about being, about becoming the person who already lives that truth, even before it manifests in the physical world. Because those who truly succeed don't wait for success to feel accomplished. They already live in the mindset of success before any external result appears. Probably the big question right now is how to find that harmony. And I'll say it up front, I don't have that answer. Only you can find it. But if you want, the most I can do is try to give you a hand. Check out the series, The Key of the Three Dimensions, an experience of self-discovery and enlightenment that can help you gain a unique understanding of yourself and the universe. With over 4 hours of content and 10 episodes, you'll go on a mental journey. I'd like to share some comments from people who have already watched the series, and if you're interested, come watch this 3-minute video where I explain more about it.